Hi, Amy here. I just wanted to share a quick story with you because when I think back about it as something that happened to me in my life, it's one of the first times I really ever dealt with fear that was so excruciating at the time, but also so uncalled for. So what happened was when I was in fourth grade, my foot had been submerged in boiling water. It was very painful, and the result of it was I had these huge, Twinkie-sized blisters, on my small, fourth grade foot. So it went all the way from the big toe to halfway back to the foot. It was this huge blister. So I couldn't wear shoes for days. I was walking around on crutches, all that stuff. Anyway, so I remember one day when my dad was like, we have to pop the blisters. And I had never had a blister before, and I had no idea what to expect, but he's like, it's not a big deal, we need to pop and drain it, blah, blah, blah. And I was just adamant that I did not want that to happen. I mean, I was begging him not to do it, and he was very stern, saying that it was going to happen regardless of whether I wanted it to happen or not. I was crying. I mean, I had tears. I was sobbing and begging, and I was so scared that it was going to hurt. Or it already hurt, so I figure a needle coming at it was going to hurt even more because that's what he was going to use to pop this blister. And so he wasn't having any of it. And so once I realized I wasn't getting anywhere after pleading for a while, I mean, I was tear-soaked face, and I just shut my eyes and turned my head away so I didn't have to watch it happen, because that helps. But it's funny because I remember I got to a point where I was like, so just do it already, what are you waiting for? And he was like, yep, it's done, it's drained. I didn't even feel it. He did it while I was looking away, and I had no idea what was going on. But again, that's one of those things where I look back and I'm like, man, it is amazing how fear can do that to us sometimes. It's totally unfounded, right? It's not based in anything logical. It's just this imagination we have of bad things that could happen, even if there's no evidence to support that that could happen. And yet, so often we let these things help determine what action we're going to take, or what behavior we're going to have. And it's just amazing that we do that. And that's why it's up to us to work really hard at not letting fears ever stop us from doing something that we want to do. It's so important. And I'm lucky enough, I'm fortunate enough to have lived a life where I've gotten the opportunity to face so many of my fears. For example, the very first time I was ever going to perform in public, in front of a bunch of people, I was so scared that I started throwing up, and I threw up for 16 hours straight. I couldn't control it, and it wasn't until finally it was canceled, because I was so sick at the time, that I finally stopped throwing up and, went to sleep. So that was a failure. I mean, I let the fear get me so badly that it actually stopped me from doing something that I really wanted to do, that I had practiced for, and that I was really looking forward to, but was scared to death to do. And of course, here I am, years later, but, hundreds of speeches later, and I perform in public constantly. But it wasn't from one side to the other side. It wasn't a 180. It was a progression of taking a step forward, doing it despite the fact that I was scared to do it, and just doing it and doing it and doing it. And you just gotta step through fear. You gotta take action anyway. So what I wanna ask you today is, what is something that you really wanna do, and the only reason you haven't done it yet is because something scares you about it? Whether it's asking somebody out, whether it's joining a group, taking a class, talking to someone that you care about a subject maybe that scares you to talk about it. Or maybe it's something like skydiving, right? I've been skydiving multiple times, and I can tell you the scariest part is when the door to the plane opens and it's your turn to jump. But once you're out, it's fine. So the fear subsides dramatically, but it's getting over that initial hump, right? Fear. But yeah, whether it's something like that, skydiving, whitewater rafting, surfing, what is it? Whatever it is, something that you want to do, flying on a plane, rappelling off the side of a wall, or climbing rocks, whatever. There's so many cool things out there. My suggestion is, think of something that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done yet, mostly because it scares you. And I want you to make a plan for when you're going to do it, and act in spite of fear. And the more you do that, by the way, the more times that you don't let fear stop you, that you take action anyway, it's like your courage muscle grows stronger and stronger, because eventually Very few things will even make you that fearful, or you'll get to that point where you're so used to dealing with it that you'll feel that fear in your mind, but you'll just know, you're like, fear is just false expectations appearing real, right? But you'll know they're false and you'll act anyway. So take that first step. In fact, I would love if you'd leave a comment of something that you've been scared to do that you are going to do now by taking the first step. I would love to celebrate with you when you get it done, but go ahead and leave a comment below of what that's going to be, and I look forward to hearing when you accomplish it. Stay awesome.